Script.md, the sacred mountain. Format, same story. Target, 50 to 60 minutes, 12,000-14,000 words. Look up. Wherever you are on Earth, whatever continent, whatever century, whatever language you speak. If you look up, you will see a mountain. And if you look long enough, you will begin to believe that something lives at the top. Every civilization on Earth has looked at a mountain and seen the same thing. A staircase to heaven. A place where the ground reaches toward the sky and the sky leans down to listen. A place where humans can stand on the highest point of the earth and almost touch the face of God. They built temples on mountaintops. They climbed to the summits to pray. They believed that the laws of the universe were handed down from peaks shrouded in cloud. They believed that gods lived above the tree line, in the zone where the air grows thin and the world below disappears, and there is nothing left but rock and sky and the terrible, beautiful silence of altitude. The Greeks said the gods lived on Mount Olympus, a real mountain, the tallest in Greece, whose summit was always hidden in clouds. No mortal could climb it. No mortal could see what happened above the clouds. The gods held their councils there, drank nectar there, decided the fate of the world there. Olympus was not just a mountain. It was the capital of the universe. The Hebrews said God descended on Mount Sinai in fire and smoke and thunder, and gave Moses the 10 Commandments, the law that would define Western civilization for 3,000 years. The mountain shook. The people trembled. God said, "Do not touch the mountain or you will die." The Hindus said Mount Meru stood at the center of the universe. A mountain so vast that the sun and moon orbited around it, so tall that its summit pierced the heavens, so deep that its roots reached the underworld. Every god in the Hindu pantheon lived on Meru. The entire cosmos was organized around it. The Tibetans said Mount Kailash, a peak in western Tibet that has never been climbed, was the throne of Shiva, the destroyer god who meditates on its summit in eternal stillness. 4 of Asia's greatest rivers flow from the region around Kailash. 4 religions, Hinduism, Buddhism, Jainism, and Bon, consider it the most sacred place on earth. No one has ever reached the top, not because it is impossible, but because it is forbidden. The Japanese said Mount Fuji was the home of the fire goddess and the gateway between the mortal world and the realm of the immortals. Samurai climbed it as spiritual discipline. Monks meditated on its slopes. Artists painted it 1,000 times. It became the most recognizable mountain in the world. A perfect volcanic cone rising from the plains, visible from 100 miles away, sacred to every religion that has ever touched Japan. And the Aztecs said Popocatépetl, the smoking mountain that towers over Mexico City, was a warrior god transformed into a volcano, eternally weeping fire and ash for his dead lover. They climbed it to make offerings. They named it. They feared it. They worshipped it. 6 civilizations, 6 mountains, 6 continents, and every one of them said the same thing. The mountain is where heaven meets earth. The mountain is where the gods live. The mountain is where the laws come from. The mountain is the center of the world. Tonight we climb every sacred mountain ever imagined, from Olympus to Kailash, from Sinai to Fuji, and we ask the question that echoes from every summit. Why does every civilization put God on a mountain? Greece, Mount Olympus, 2,917 meters above sea level, the tallest peak in Greece, located in the region of Thessaly, its summit hidden in clouds for most of the year. The ancient Greeks could see it from miles away. A massive presence on the horizon, white with snow in winter, wrapped in cloud in summer, always there, always watching, always silent. The Greeks did not simply believe the gods lived on a mountain. They believed the gods lived on this specific mountain. Olympus was not a metaphor. It was an address. Zeus sat on a golden throne at the summit. Hera sat beside him. Around them gathered the 12 Olympians: Athena, Apollo, Artemis, Ares, Aphrodite, Hermes, Hephaestus, Demeter, Poseidon, Dionysus, and Hestia, each with their own palace, each with their own domain, each visible only to divine eyes. Homer describes the summit of Olympus in the Iliad. Neither winds disturb it, nor is it ever wet with rain, nor does snow come near, but cloudless air spreads about it, and a white radiance floats over it. Above the clouds, above the weather, above the reach of mortal senses, a realm of permanent clarity, permanent light, permanent order. The mountain was the boundary between the chaotic, mortal world below and the perfect, divine world above. Zeus ruled from the summit the way a king rules from a castle, with absolute authority, enforced by thunderbolts. He could see everything from the mountain. He could reach everything with his lightning. The height was not decorative. The height was strategic. The mountain gave Zeus surveillance and striking power simultaneously, the ancient equivalent of the high ground in every military doctrine ever written. The Greeks built temples to the gods at the base of Olympus. They did not dare to build on the summit. The summit was divine territory, as forbidden as the Holy of Holies in the Jewish temple. Mortals who attempted to reach the top were struck down. The boundary between the human world and the divine world was drawn at the tree line. Above that line, you were trespassing in heaven. But the mountain served another function that is easy to miss. It organized the cosmos vertically. The gods lived above. Humans lived in the middle. The dead lived below in the underworld. Olympus was the top of a three-tiered universe, heaven above, earth in the middle, hell below. Structured exactly like the Norse cosmos, Asgard, Midgard, hell. Exactly like the Hindu cosmos, Svarga, Bhu, Padala. Exactly like the Christian cosmos, heaven, earth, hell. The mountain was not just where the gods lived. The mountain was the axis of reality, the vertical line around which the entire universe was organized. Remember that phrase, axis of reality. It has a formal name. Every religion uses it, and every religion puts a mountain at the center of it. The Sinai Peninsula, a desert of red rock and blinding light, where the sky is so clear that the stars at night look like they are falling. Somewhere in this desert, the exact location has been debated for 3,000 years, stands the mountain where God spoke to Moses. The book of Exodus describes the scene in language that is deliberately terrifying. The Israelites have escaped from Egypt, crossed the Red Sea, and wandered into the desert. They camp at the base of a mountain, and God descends. On the morning of the third day there were thunders and lightnings and a thick cloud on the mountain and a very loud trumpet blast, so that all the people in the camp trembled. Moses brought the people out of the camp to meet God, and they stood at the foot of the mountain. Now Mount Sinai was wrapped in smoke because the Lord had descended on it in fire. The smoke of it went up like the smoke of a kiln, and the whole mountain trembled greatly. The mountain burned. The mountain shook. The trumpet grew louder and louder. Not a human trumpet, but a sound from beyond the world. A sound that made the bones tremble and the teeth ache. And God said to Moses, "Come up, come to the top." But the people must not come. If they touch the mountain, if they even approach it, they will die. Moses climbed alone. He ascended into the fire and the smoke and the sound. He was gone for 40 days and 40 nights. And when he came down, he carried 2 stone tablets, the 10 Commandments, the law of God, written by the finger of God himself, delivered from the summit of a mountain to the base where humanity waited. The mountain is a delivery mechanism. The law comes from above. The law descends from the summit to the valley. The law is not a human invention. It is a divine gift, received at altitude, carried downward. This is the theology of the mountain. Truth lives at the top. Humans live at the bottom. The prophet climbs up to receive and comes down to deliver. The mountain is the post office between heaven and earth. The same pattern repeats across the Abrahamic traditions. In Islam, The Prophet Muhammad receives his first revelation in a cave on Mount Hira, near Mecca. He ascends to heaven, the Miraj, from the Temple Mount in Jerusalem, passing through 7 levels of heaven. In Christianity, Jesus delivers the Sermon on the Mount, his most important teaching, from an elevated place. He is crucified on a hill, Golgotha. He ascends to heaven from the Mount of Olives. The Abrahamic God does not live on a specific mountain the way Zeus lives on Olympus. The Abrahamic God is everywhere. But when God wants to communicate, when God wants to deliver a law, a revelation, a commandment, God always chooses a mountain. The mountain is the telephone. The summit is the frequency. The prophet is the receiver. India, Mount Meru. A mountain that may not exist on any map but exists at the center of every Hindu, Buddhist, and Jain cosmology ever written. Meru is not a mountain you can climb. Meru is the mountain the universe is built around. The Puranas describe Meru in dimensions that are not physical but cosmological. Meru is 84,000 yojanas tall, roughly 1.08 million kilometers, almost 3 times the distance from the Earth to the Moon. The summit is 32,000 yojanas wide. It is made of gold on its eastern face, silver on its southern face, crystal on its western face, and ruby on its northern face. The sun, the moon, and the stars orbit around it. The 4 great continents of the Earth extend from its base in the 4 cardinal directions. It is not a mountain on the Earth. The Earth is a feature on the mountain. At the summit of Meru sits Brahma, the creator god, in a palace of incomprehensible beauty. Below Brahma, on the slopes and plateaus of the mountain, live the other gods, each tier housing a different level of divinity, each level corresponding to a different degree of spiritual attainment. Below the gods, on the foothills of Meru, live the demigods, the Asuras. Below them, the human world. Below that, the animal realm. Below that, the hungry ghosts. Below that, the hells. The mountain is not just a home for the gods. The mountain is the organizational chart of reality. Everything has its place. Everything is arranged vertically. The higher you are, the closer you are to perfection. The lower you are, the deeper you are in suffering. The entire cosmos, every realm, every being, every level of consciousness, is stacked on the slopes of a single mountain. This is why Hindu and Buddhist temples are shaped the way they are. Angkor Wat in Cambodia, the largest religious structure ever built, is a scale model of Mount Meru. Its 5 central towers represent the 5 peaks of Meru's summit. The moat that surrounds it represents the cosmic ocean. The concentric galleries represent the mountain ranges that ring Meru's base. When you walk through Angkor Wat, you are walking through a map of the universe, and the mountain is at the center. The same is true of Borobudur in Java, a massive Buddhist stupa built as a 3-dimensional mandala, with 10 levels representing the 10 stages of spiritual ascent from the base, the world of desire, to the summit, the world of formlessness, nirvana. When pilgrims walk the corridors of Borobudur, ascending level by level, they are climbing Mount Meru. They are ascending through the realms of the cosmos. They are walking from suffering to enlightenment, vertically, upward, toward the summit. Every temple in Southeast Asia is a mountain. Every pagoda is a mountain. Every stupa is a mountain. The architecture of an entire civilization, stretching from India to Indonesia to Japan, is built on the idea that the center of the universe is a peak, and to approach the divine you must climb. Tibet, Mount Kailash, 6,638 meters above sea level. Not the tallest mountain in the Himalayas, not the most dramatic, not the most difficult to reach, but 4 religions consider it the most sacred point on the surface of the earth. And no human being has ever stood on its summit. Kailash is extraordinary for a reason that has nothing to do with religion. Its shape. Unlike most Himalayan peaks, jagged, asymmetrical, eroded by wind and ice into unpredictable forms, Kailash is almost perfectly symmetrical. Its four faces align roughly with the four cardinal directions. Its summit is a dome of snow and ice that looks, from certain angles, like a crown. It is a mountain that looks designed, a mountain that looks like someone built it on purpose. Four of Asia's most important rivers have their sources near Kailash: the Indus, the Sutlej, the Brahmaputra, and the Karnali, a major tributary of the Ganges. For rivers, flowing in four directions, from a single sacred source. The geography itself seems to confirm the mythology. Kailash is the center from which life-giving water flows to the four corners of the world. For Hindus, Kailash is the abode of Shiva, the destroyer and transformer, the god who sits in eternal meditation on the summit, his matted hair piled high, the crescent moon in his locks, the Ganges flowing from his head, his third eye closed in concentration that holds the universe together. When Shiva opens his third eye, the world ends. As long as he meditates, the world continues. Kailash is not just where Shiva lives. It is where Shiva maintains reality through the sheer force of his contemplation. For Buddhists, Kailash is the place where the founder of the Bon religion landed when he descended from heaven. For Jains, Kailash is the place where their first prophet, Rishabhadeva, achieved spiritual liberation. For the Bon, the pre-Buddhist religion of Tibet, Kailash is the seat of all spiritual power, the axis around which the earth turns. Every year, thousands of pilgrims from all four religions make the Kora, the circumambulation, the ritual walk around the base of Kailash. The full circuit is 52 kilometers. Hindus and Buddhists walk clockwise. Bon practitioners walk counterclockwise. They do not climb the mountain. They circle it, orbit it like planets orbiting a sun, like the celestial bodies that the myths say orbit Mount Meru. To circle Kailash is to reenact the structure of the cosmos with your own body. In 2001, a Chinese-sponsored mountaineering expedition received permission to climb Kailash. The international outcry was immediate and overwhelming. Protests from Hindu, Buddhist, Jain, and Bon leaders, from governments, from millions of believers. The expedition was cancelled. The mountain remains unclimbed. Not because it is impossible, it is technically easier than many Himalayan peaks that have been summited, but because the sacred is, by definition, the place you do not touch. Olympus was forbidden. Sinai was forbidden. And Kailash is still forbidden today in the 21st century, in an era when humans have walked on the moon and sent robots to Mars. We can reach any summit on Earth. But some summits we choose not to reach. Because the mountain is not a challenge to be conquered. The mountain is a boundary to be respected. Japan. Mount Fuji, 3,776 meters. The tallest mountain in Japan, visible from Tokyo on clear days. Its almost perfect volcanic cone rising from the flat Kanto plain like a mathematical equation rendered in stone and snow. Fuji is the most depicted mountain in the history of art. Katsushika Hokusai's 36 Views of Mount Fuji, published in the 1830s, is one of the most famous series of prints ever created. The Great Wave off Kanagawa, with Fuji visible in the background, is one of the most recognizable images in the world. Hiroshige painted it. Photographers have captured it millions of times. Fuji is not just a mountain. It is an icon, the visual shorthand for Japan itself. But Fuji was sacred long before it was beautiful. The earliest Japanese texts, the Kojiki and the Nihon Shoki, compiled in the 8th century, associate Fuji with Konohana Sakuyahime, the goddess of cherry blossoms and volcanic fire. She is the princess who proved her fidelity by giving birth in a burning hut. A goddess of beauty and destruction simultaneously, of fragile blossoms and explosive magma, which is exactly what Fuji is. A thing of extraordinary beauty that could erupt at any moment and bury everything beneath it. For centuries, climbing Fuji was a religious act, a pilgrimage, not an excursion. The mountain was divided into 10 stations, each representing a stage of spiritual purification. At the base, you were in the world of desire. At the fifth station, the tree line, you entered the world of form. At the summit, you entered the world of formlessness, the same three-world system that organizes Mount Meru and Borobudur. The climb was not about reaching the top. The climb was about leaving the bottom, shedding the weight of the material world with every step, becoming lighter, purer, closer to the divine. Women were forbidden from climbing Fuji until 1868, the beginning of the Meiji era. Before that, the mountain was exclusively male sacred space. The ban was not about physical ability, it was about purity boundaries. The mountain was a body, and the body had rules about who could enter. This concept, that the sacred mountain is a body with rules about access, appears in culture after culture. Sinai forbade anyone but Moses. Olympus forbade all mortals. Kailash forbids everyone. The mountain is a temple without walls, and the summit is the Holy of Holies. Today, roughly 300,000 people climb Mount Fuji every year. Most of them during the official climbing season of July and August, most of them starting at night to reach the summit for sunrise. They call it Gareko, arrival of light. Standing at the summit of Fuji at dawn, watching the sun rise over the Pacific Ocean, the clouds below you glowing gold and pink, the shadow of the mountain stretching across the plain. It is one of the most beautiful sights on Earth, and it is the same experience that every mountain-worshipping civilization has sought. The moment when you stand at the highest point of the world and see the light that the people in the valleys cannot see. There is a term for what every one of these mountains represents. Scholars of comparative religion call it the Axis Mundi, the axis of the world, the cosmic pillar, the center pole, the vertical line that connects the underworld to the earth to the heavens, around which the entire universe is organized. The Axis Mundi is not always a mountain. Sometimes it is a tree, Yggdrasil, the Norse world tree, whose roots reach the underworld and whose branches support the heavens. Sometimes it is a pillar, the Djed pillar of Egyptian mythology, the backbone of Osiris, which holds up the sky. Sometimes it is a temple, the Temple of Jerusalem, which Jewish tradition says was built on the foundation stone, the first solid point in creation, the navel of the world. Sometimes it is a ladder, Jacob's ladder, stretching from earth to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. But most often it is a mountain, because mountains are real. You can see them, you can point to them, you can walk to their base and look up and feel in your body the vertical pull of the sacred, the sense that up means holy and down means mortal, and the line between them runs through this specific point on the surface of the earth. The Aztecs built pyramids, artificial mountains, in the center of their cities. The Pyramid of the Sun at Teotihuacan is oriented to align with the point where the sun sets behind the mountains on the equinox. The Aztec Templo Mayor in Tenochtitlan was an artificial version of Cotepec, the serpent mountain where the god Huitzilopochtli was born. When the Aztecs sacrificed captives at the top of the pyramid, they were reenacting a mythological event that took place on a mountain. The pyramid was the mountain. The sacrifice was the storm. The blood was the rain. The Mesopotamians built ziggurats, step towers that rose from the flat plains of Iraq like artificial mountains in a landscape that had none. The ziggurat of Ur, the ziggurat of Babylon, the probable inspiration for the Tower of Babel, these were mountains built by humans, attempts to create an axis mundi in a land where no natural axis existed. If the gods live on mountains and your land has no mountains, you build one. You stack mud bricks higher and higher until you reach the sky, or until God strikes you down for trying. Gothic cathedrals are mountains. Their spires reach toward heaven. Their interiors are dark at the base and filled with light at the top. Stained glass windows flooding the upper vaults with colored light while the nave below remains in shadow. The architecture recreates the experience of climbing a mountain. Darkness below, light above, the sacred at the summit. Every cathedral is a Mount Sinai. Every spire is an Olympus. Every bell tower is a Meru. And what are skyscrapers? We name them after the sky. We build them as tall as physics allows. We put the most powerful people at the top, the corner office on the highest floor, the penthouse, the observation deck. The CEO sits at the summit. The interns work at the base. The vertical hierarchy of the sacred mountain has been translated, without alteration, into the vertical hierarchy of the modern corporation. We still believe that height equals power. We still believe that the top is where the gods live. Let us build the blueprint. 6 sacred mountains: Olympus, Sinai, Meru, Kailash, Fuji, and the artificial mountains of Mesoamerica and Mesopotamia. 6 civilizations, 6 continents, and every one of them built the same structure, the same vertical cosmos, the same axis connecting earth to heaven, the same throne at the top. Element 1, the gods live at the top. Zeus on Olympus, Brahma on Meru, Shiva on Kailash, God on Sinai, the fire goddess on Fuji. In every tradition, the divine beings occupy the summit, the highest point, the place farthest from the human world, the place closest to the sky. Height equals divinity. This is universal. Element 2, the mountain is forbidden. Olympus kills mortals who approach. Sinai kills those who touch it. Kailash has never been climbed. Fuji banned women for centuries. The summit is off limits, a sacred precinct that mortals enter at their own peril. The divine is not accessible. The divine is above. Element 3, the law comes from the mountain. Moses receives the 10 Commandments on Sinai. Jesus teaches from the mount. Muhammad receives revelation on Hira. The Vedas are revealed at altitude. Truth is not discovered at sea level. Truth descends from the summit, carried by prophets who climb up and bring it down. The mountain is the origin of law. Element 4, the mountain organizes the cosmos. Heaven above, earth in the middle, the underworld below. Olympus, Midgard, Tartarus. Svarga, Bhupatala, heaven, earth, hell. Meru with its 14 worlds stacked vertically. The mountain creates a 3-tiered universe, and every civilization that has a sacred mountain has a 3-tiered cosmos to go with it. Element 5, rivers flow from the mountain. For rivers flow from Kailash. For rivers flow from Eden, which Genesis places on a mountain or elevated garden. The Ganges flows from Shiva's hair. Mount Meru is surrounded by rings of water. The mountain is not just where the gods live. It is where life comes from. Water descends from the sacred peak and nourishes the world below. The mountain gives life the same way it gives law, from the top down. Element 6, humans build artificial mountains. Pyramids, ziggurats, stupas, pagodas, cathedrals, minarets, skyscrapers. When a civilization lacks a natural sacred mountain, it builds one. The urge to create vertical sacred space is so deep, so universal, so irresistible that entire civilizations have devoted their wealth, their labor, and their engineering genius to stacking stones higher and higher toward a sky that they believe contains something worth reaching. 6 elements, 6 civilizations, 0 contact, the gods at the top, the summit forbidden, the law descending, the cosmos vertical, rivers from the peak, humans building mountains when none exist, the same blueprint, everywhere, always. Why? Why does every civilization on Earth, separately, independently, without contact, put God on a mountain? Theory 1, the view. Mountains offer the widest view available to a ground-dwelling species. From a summit, you can see farther than from any other point on the surface. You can see weather approaching. You can see enemies advancing. You can see the curvature of the horizon. A being on a mountaintop is a being who sees everything. And what is omniscience if not the ultimate view? God is on the mountain because the mountain is the place from which everything can be seen. Theory 2, the weather. Mountains generate weather. Clouds form around peaks. Lightning strikes summits. Rain falls from mountains. Snow caps their peaks. To a pre-scientific mind, the mountain is the place where weather is made, and weather is the most powerful force in the natural world. The mountain is where thunder comes from. The mountain is where rain is born. The mountain is where the wind starts. If any place on earth is the home of the powers that control the world, it is the place where the world's most powerful forces originate. Theory 3. The altered state. Altitude changes consciousness. At high elevations, the air grows thin, oxygen decreases, and the brain begins to experience hypoxia. A mild oxygen deprivation that can produce euphoria, hallucinations, a sense of unreality, and feelings of transcendence. Climbers and pilgrims who ascend sacred mountains frequently report visions, epiphanies, encounters with the divine. The mountain does not just look sacred. The mountain feels sacred because the mountain literally alters your brain. Theory 4. The vertical metaphor. Humans are bipedal, we stand upright, and our entire experience of the world is organized vertically. Up is where the sky is, where the sun is, where light comes from. Down is where the ground is, where darkness is, where dead things go. This vertical orientation is so fundamental to human cognition that we embed it in our language. We feel up when we are happy and down when we are sad. We look up to people we admire and look down on people we despise. Heaven is above. Hell is below. The mountain is the physical embodiment of this metaphor, the literal structure that turns the abstract concept of up equals good into rock and snow and sky. Theory 5. The inaccessible center. Every religion needs a sacred place that is difficult to reach, a place that requires effort, sacrifice, suffering to approach. The mountain provides this naturally. You cannot drive to the summit of Kailash. You cannot take an elevator to the peak of Olympus. You must climb, step by step, breath by breath, suffering with every meter of altitude gained. The difficulty is the point. The sacred must be hard to reach because if it were easy, it would not be sacred. It would be ordinary. The mountain is the original paywall, the barrier between the mundane and the divine, passable only by those willing to pay the price. Perhaps it was all of these. The view gave omniscience. The weather gave power. The altitude gave visions. The vertical metaphor gave meaning. And the difficulty of the climb gave the sacred its price. Because in every religion, in every mythology, on every mountain, the divine is never free. You must climb to reach it. You must suffer to find it. You must leave the valley. Leave comfort, leave safety, leave everything you know, and ascend into the thin, cold, beautiful air where the gods live. What we know is this: for as long as humans have been human, they have looked at mountains and seen staircases to heaven. They have climbed toward summits and felt themselves approaching something vast and terrible and real. They have built temples on peaks and pyramids on plains and cathedrals in cities and skyscrapers in glass and steel. All of them reaching upward, all of them trying to close the gap between where we stand and where we believe God sits. The mountain is the oldest temple. The summit is the oldest altar. And the urge to climb, to leave the ground, to ascend, to reach the unreachable top, is the oldest prayer. Every religion told the same story. This one was vertical. Next time on Deja Myth, we meet the guide. Every civilization has a figure who carries the dead from this world to the next. Sharon, Anubis, the Shinigami, Ezrael, Yama, 6 continents, 6 ferrymen. One destination no one returns from.